Hello everyone and welcome back guys to the first proper round of our F1 2019 career mode, where today we're here for the Australian Grand Prix. If you guys missed out on the first video that went live earlier on today, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out, where we basically earned our drive in Formula 1 by taking part in all of the F2 challenges. But yeah, today then we're ready for round one of the season here at Australia. Really looking forward to the opening round of the 2019 season. It's going to be an interesting season with the Haas team. Excited to see, hopefully we can get right up to the top of the midfield quite quickly. Maybe, just maybe, we can start challenging Red Bull towards the end of the season. I'm sure Rich Energy would love to see that one as well. But obviously, if you guys are new around here, make sure you do get yourself subscribed for more F1 2019 content on the channel. We've already done an F1 versus F2 comparison video, and there is going to be plenty more coming out today, tomorrow, all over the weekend, next week, and hopefully throughout pretty much the next 12 months until F1 2020 is released down the line. So yeah, make sure you do get yourself subscribed for more Formula 1 content here on the channel. But heading on then into the Australian Grand Prix then, really excited to kick off the season, and let's jump in like always into FP1.
Welcome to Melbourne and the inaugural event of the F1 2019 Championship season. The session is starting shortly and there's a real sense of anticipation in the air. A feeling that anything can happen this year, and if it does, well, this weekend could be the opening chapter to one of the most exciting F1 seasons ever. Joining me in the commentary box is, of course, Anthony Davidson. And it's great to have you back again. What can you tell us about this year's roster? There are some new faces this year, aren't there?
Absolutely, Crofty. There's been a number of interesting signings over the last few months. Where would you like to start?
Let's talk about Mr. Monaco.
Right, well, this is definitely someone to keep an eye on. Well, they've been signed up likely in no small part due to the way they carried themselves in the Formula 2 Championship. They have a great track record of putting the team first. At one of the races, they even gave up their own position when their car had a technical issue, so that their teammate Lucas Weber, who also debuts here today, could get ahead. That kind of team spirit could take them a long way this season.
Those two aren't the only new faces from Formula 2 this season, are they?
No, this season will introduce fans to George Russell and Lando Norris, two very promising young British drivers. Plus, we'll meet Alexander Albon from Thailand, and finally, Devin Butler. Now, Devin was a bit of a controversial figure in Formula 2 last year. He racked up a lot of penalties over the course of the season, including one where he collided with his closest rival. It was an arsey clip. Now, certainly after the event, they were nothing but professional in terms of how they spoke about the incident with Devin, but it's hard to imagine them being as polite about it behind closed doors. I think this rival will be one to keep an eye on over the next few races, as both drivers take their first steps into the world of Formula 1.
So I am going to be leaving in all of sort of the pre, session talks by the teams I do feel on this game. It is quite important, especially in the opening couple of rounds, there's quite a lot to talk about and everything like that. And as I'm sure you guys will have seen, obviously all three Formula 2 drivers are now in Formula 1. Weber, I think it's Weber, isn't it, because he's German, is at Force India. He has replaced Lance Stroll. And then the other guy as well, I've forgotten the name, Butler, sorry, is over at Renault, actually in place of Nico Hülkenberg. So quite surprised by that one as we just fly through free practice there. Got a few R&D points, nothing particularly incredible, nothing particularly too poor either there as well. So yeah, quite happy with that one. 165 points at the end of the session. We're focusing mainly at the moment about, I think I bought two of the aero upgrades. One of the ones that obviously reduces the risk of failure, and the other one was just to try and reduce the cost and all the other upgrades. We're trying to go for a bit of a future-proof program. But yeah, let's move on then into quali.
We're just about ready to kick off today's qualifying here in Melbourne. It's the Australian Grand Prix. This is the kind of track that eats rear tyres for breakfast, or so I'm told by more experienced drivers than myself.
Lots of low-speed exits means the rears are in for a lot of punishment. It's all too easy to spin them up coming out of a corner too aggressively. It might look great for us as spectators, as we love to see a car driven beyond its limits, but it's not going to result in a great long-run pace.
So even more interesting talks there, and let's jump in to qualifying. Like I said, I will try to get it updated for round 2 of the championship. I'll try not to forget, so we actually get a full qualifying session next time out. But on to my first run, and Sergio Perez would, I don't even know what he was trying to do there. Just, well, one of the worst illegal blocks I think I've ever seen in a Formula 1 qualifying session there. I think, yeah, that would have probably been at least a penalty at the very least there. But yeah, we would just finish off that lap there at 1 minute 25.7. Nothing really too much to chat about. You can see going on to my second run there, we're already a second up by turn 3 there, and once again just lap traffic or slow cars on the track really was costing us here. We're going to ride on board for most of this lap. You can see we've got the Williams of George Russell just in front of me here, not really giving me much room. We sort of had to go for that gap and pray that he wasn't going to turn any further across me there. Alexander Albon as well, just up in front of me as well. And is he going to move off somewhat off the racing line? The AI this year really don't like to move too far off the racing line, it appears, as we get a huge moment out onto the back straightaway here. Yeah, see, definitely something that I think needs to be looked at. The AI just not really getting out of the way as quickly as personally I would like there as we come in towards the final couple of corners of the lap. We're going to see third and finally Kimi Räikkönen as well, running a bit slowly, clearly trying to, get himself warmed up ready for his lap. Clearly blocking me as I'm trying to get towards the end of my fly lap there. Hamilton goes purple as we head in towards the final couple of corners there, and the dirty air just really cost me here. Are we going to be able to get any sort of run out of the final corner? I think the only saving grace is that we'll get a bit of slipstream there out of the final corner. Everything DRS, everything to the max there, and it's going to be a 1 minute 24.159 there, just behind Weber as we come towards the end of qualifying. And at the end of the session, we would drop down to P9 there. Hamilton on pole ahead of Leclerc, Vettel, Bottas, Verstappen, Gasly. Weber holds on to P7. Butler actually splits us there, so we have got the 3 newbies, obviously. The 3 fake newbies, I should say, from F2. All together, P8, P9, and P10 there. So yeah, really excited for the opening round of the World Championship there. My teammate Romain Grosjean just outside the top 10 in P11. We'll obviously have the fresh choice of tyres ready for the Grand Prix. But yeah, we're almost ready then for our very first race in Formula 1 2019. Really excited to get it going. And yeah, really hyped to see what we can muster up with the Haas Formula 1 team. But anyway, let's move on then into the race.
New drivers, new cars, it's a new Formula 1 season. But it's the same Albert Park that we've come to know and love for more than 2 decades now that plays host to round 1 of a 21-race championship that takes us from here in Australia across the globe and the eventual season finale at the Yas Island circuit in Abu Dhabi. Just south of Melbourne's downtown business centre is the one and only Albert Park circuit. 3.3 miles of public roads, closed for the weekend of course, make for a bumpy circuit with little undulation. There are 16 corners around the lake and a couple of good passing opportunities here as well, thanks in part to the DRS zones into turns 1, 3 and 13. We have plenty of changes to the sport this year with tweaks to the regulations, a fresh-looking spread of tyre compounds, and of course some changes to the roster of car manufacturers. It's goodbye to Sauber and hello once again to the classic name of Alfa Romeo in Formula 1. It's also goodbye to Force India. They've been rebranded as Racing Point. Joining me to take you through all the action of the 2019 Formula 1 season is Anthony Davidson. And it's great to have you with us.
Thanks, Crofty. Always happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to getting underway. Last year was Mercedes' 5th Constructors' title in a row, although for the first half of the season it was absolutely neck and neck with the Ferraris. Hopefully this year we can see the chasing pack take that final step, as I'd love to see a championship contest all the way up to the final race in Abu Dhabi. Another story to keep an eye on is the performance of Red Bull, who have switched to the Honda power unit this year. What that will mean for both their performance and reliability remains to be seen.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position with Charles Leclerc alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Bottas, Max Verstappen and Gasly, Weber, Butler, Mr. Monaco and Sergio Perez, Grosjean, Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz and Norris. Albon, Fiat, George Russell and Kimi Räikkönen. Kubica and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So here we are then, Australia, round 1 of the 2019 World Championship, and really excited to get this race going. It's going to be a 2-stop strategy, according to the team there. 2 stints on the soft tyres, and then 1 towards the end on the medium C3 compound as well. And yeah, like I said, really excited for this race. Running 2 laps extra fuel as well, just gives that little bit of extra flexibility for the start of this race. But here we are then on the grid. The 5 lights are coming on now. It is 5 red lights here at the Australian Grand Prix, and it is lights out and away we go. They're getting off to a pretty poor start there. Huge amount of wheel spin as we come up towards turn 1. Then we're going to go 3 wide with the Force India, and my teammate Roman Grosjean there just trying to avoid contact with absolutely everyone, and we do get through there, and somehow in the middle we actually come out on top as well. So still, I don't think we've dropped any places there of the start. We might have dropped 1 actually to Butler in the Renault just in front of me there, but I think no, we did start in P9 for this race there as we come through turn 4 and turn 5 there. We're just trying to keep this gap close to Butler just in front of me here in the Renault. But Weber up the road there, I must say he has had an absolutely fantastic start from P7 all the way up to P4 off the start of this Grand Prix. I'm sure Force India will be very happy with that one there as we now come down in towards sector 2 there. We're going to try and go for a bit of a late look up the inside as we come out onto the back straightaway there. Well, not really able to make anything work that time around there. Just slammed the door shut. I must admit, it was a bit of a late lunge, a bit of sort of a half-hearted attempt as well, and it was never really going to end up going all too well there. But just look at the run we get on the exit of the fast chicane there. Up the inside we go in towards turn 13 to come towards the end of this lap there. Are we going to be able to get the car parked nice and tidily? Yes, we do, and that is us now up into P8 of this Grand Prix off the start there. And yeah, really happy with that one. Then we have been able to capitalise, and now we've got a bit of clear air just in front of me, is obviously the top guys as well as Weber are going to be able to get a very good opening lap in this Grand Prix, and already building up a margin there as we get a huge moment out of the final corner there. We actually got a tiny bit of a wall tap, I think, as we came out of the turn there. And Butler and Perez going to go side by side in towards turn 1 behind me there. I thought Perez might have just run into the back of me there, but he didn't, luckily, that time around. We would skip all the way onto lap 4 though. We were just trying to keep these tyres in check, and sadly it just wasn't happening, I'll be honest with you. The Haas car, as we've seen in real life, you know, sort of seen a lot of complaints by Haas so far this season that the tyres don't work for them in races. The softs, it was definitely safe to say, were having the same sort of effect in this race for myself as well here as we come now down in towards the pit lane for our first stop of the day. Very early here as the virtual safety car has actually been deployed. Not too sure what's gone on here. Roman Grosjean, my teammate, is out of the race. This is not what we needed to kick off our season, and not too sure what's actually happened to poor Roman there. But unfortunately, yeah, that is going to be him out of this Grand Prix there. Just, well, 4 laps in to this F1 2019 World Championship, and our teammate has already faced his first retirement of the season there. But that would work out quite well for myself, in all honesty. Obviously, with the virtual safety car, it probably gave me a good couple of seconds worth of delta. We were in clear air as well, just obviously on the set of the super softs once more there. I'm really just trying to push over these next couple of laps as well. Just try and close back up this margin to the whole train of cars that are just a few seconds up the road there. I think we've got Daniel Ricciardo, the Williams, the Alfa Romeos, and I think one of the Toro Rossos, maybe even both as well, just in that train. It wouldn't take too long, lap 7, before we'd basically already closed up this margin back to these guys here as we come in towards the next couple of corners here. Are we going to be able to get a good run on the exit here as we come now out onto, I keep calling it the back straightaway, but obviously it is anything but. Obviously the huge left-handed curve in towards the fast chicane once more here. Are we going to be able to get a good run on the exit here? Try to capitalise on Giovinazzi. Yes, we do. Almost run into the back of him there as we come out onto the back straightaway here. Got the DRS zone, obviously, in F1 2019 as well. But are we going to be able to keep it nice and tidy? Kubica and Raikkonen go side by side just in front of me. We can't do anything just there just yet as we now come through the final couple of corners to finish off lap 7 there. We're going to be able to get the run on the Williams, but Mercedes power unit still, even in the Williams, the Mercedes power unit is still very strong there. As we look to the outside in towards turn 1 there, Kubica gets a huge lock up there. We're able to get right around the outside of him as we come through turn 1 and turn 2 there, and that's now going to be us back up into P17 of this Grand Prix here. So we are slowly but surely making our way back up through the order here, and now as we skip on towards the fast chicane once more here, we're now all over the back of Kimi Raikkonen, obviously now in his Alfa Romeo here. Are we going to be able to get any good run on the exit once more there? I think this time around we haven't quite been able to have the same effect there, as it's actually Butler who's causing all of the traffic jams here as we come in towards the final few corners of the lap, almost running to the back of Reitman. He gets caught out over the curbs, and we're just going to keep the nose up the inside. Fresh tyres, everything like that. We go now, have a look up the inside of Butler as well here. And yeah, like I said, fresh tyres, you know, all these guys on basically tyres that are twice as old as myself there. And yeah, everyone now starting to dive it into the pit lane as well here as we're now trying to close up the back of George Russell. There is Sergio Perez. So even though we've been held up in this traffic, we have stayed out ahead of Perez here, which is absolutely crucial. And now we're going to try and build up a car advantage as well over him as we look to the outside of George Russell here. Side by side we go in towards turn 3. They're pretty even on the brakes there, but we swoop right around the outside of the Williams driver there. And now we're up into P13 of this Grand Prix. But once again, it wouldn't be long before still we revolved in even more action there. Albon trying to go a bit defensive as we come on towards the back kink of this lap here. Lap 9 at 29 here. I think how much action we've already had in this race there, but this time around we're going to have a look to the outside in towards the FantHAAStic again, and much later on the brake. Supreme confidence there. We swoop right around the outside of Alexander Albon, and that was definitely, at least so far, my personal favourite move of the race here, as now we try to close up the gap to Danny Kvyat. But luckily, over the next couple of laps, obviously everyone's starting to make their pit stops in this race. We would now move back up into P9, but this is where the race would get a little bit weird here as we come through turn, 7 or 8, I think this is. Bottas just parked on the racing line there, and the safety car has been deployed because of that. Not really too sure what happened to Bottas. Don't know if he made a mistake or what. But unfortunately, yeah, for Valtteri Bottas, he's been caught out there, and the safety car has now been deployed, and we're messing around talking to the team. And we're going to take a bit of a strategy gamble and go onto a set of hard compound tyres, take them through to the end of this race, or at least attempt to here. I mean, we had to pit anyway very soon because of these super softs. You know, the first stint only lasted 4 laps. We probably could have got 7 or 8 out of them, I reckon, in the second. We were starting to get a bit better with the tyre wear as well here as we just about get out ahead of Alexander Albon. But yeah, we would have had to pit anyway quite soon, so it obviously just seems sensible to try and do it now. I was really contemplating trying to stay on the medium compound tyres, but I just don't think they would have probably had enough to make it through to the end of this race. And I think we got, what, 16, 17 racing laps on this set of the hard compound tyres here, and this could play absolutely, you know, this could either be sort of a do or die situation for ourselves through the final couple of corners. Prepare to resume racing. The safety car is coming in now. What is going to happen off the restart here? Who is going to come out on top? Through the final corner we go there, and ready to go. Green flag racing once again. They're struggling to get power down on this fresh set of the hard compound tyres. They're really struggling to try and get them up into the right operating window of the start of racing once again there as we come through turn 1 and turn 2. And I sort of remembered, you know, we need to try and pace ourselves in the second half of this Grand Prix. You know, there is no point in us trying to absolutely attack Lando Norris because he's going to have the pit again anyway, so we may as well try and play our own race, play it sensible to a certain degree, and just see where we end up. And that's what we do over the next couple of laps here. See, onto lap 16 we go now. But Norris and Sainz just still so there. I think Bottas has actually got some issues as well there, and the McLaren Civil War is about to kick off, almost contact, as they come now down in towards the next couple of corners there. And you can just see, actually, Carlos Sainz even, sorry, I should say, on a set of them medium compound tyres. So maybe what I said about trying to you know, play our own race, perhaps we can't quite do that to the same effect I was hoping. We do need to try and get past Sainz as quickly as possible there. Take a lot of curb on the exit of the fast chicane here. Are we going to be able to go for any sort of move on Carlos? We're going to try and go for a bit of a dive bomb there in towards the final few corners, and he's just going to slam the door shut. Kvyat's going to be able to move past me as well there, and that was not what I needed there. A bit of contact with Kvyat as well. Very lucky that we didn't lose our front wing there, but yeah, not too sure what was going on there. I felt like it was a big enough overtake that Sainz should have given us some room there. But 1 lap later, we would now be trying to capitalise on Danny Kvyat here in towards the final few corners, and we'd just be able to get a bit of a cheeky switchback move on the Toro Rosso man there. But yeah, still not too sure what Carlos Sainz was doing here, but hopefully we can try and get past him as quickly as possible in this Grand Prix. We've got 12 laps to go, and now everyone is now starting to make their final pit stops of this Grand Prix. You can see we're actually going to come out ahead of Lewis Hamilton here quite comfortably as well. So maybe this strategy is working out a bit better than even I anticipated it to as well. There's onto lap 18 we go now we're starting to get a bit impatient behind Carlos Sainz. You know, there's only so much we can do in this Grand Prix. To the outside, in towards the S section. We made it work once, and we're going to make it work again there. Two, well, very ballsy moves, if I do say so myself there. Getting a bit of a wheel spin on the exit of the corner there, and that's going to give Sainz a bit of an opportunity, but luckily on the outside, nothing he could really do in that situation there. And yeah, we do now move back up into P8 of this Grand Prix. We're going to try and close up the gap to Lando Norris as well as Bottas in towards the final couple of corners as well, but both of them are going to dive it into the pit lane here, and this is clearly where everyone else is going to be making their final pit stop of the day here. And you can see, having a look at the position count, we're going to be all the way up into P2 of this Grand Prix. It seemed only Sebastian Vettel, myself, and Carlos Sainz had taken the risk with this strategy here, and well, it was looking like it was going to play absolutely critical in this Grand Prix there, because we are now up into an effective P2. This is no sort of weird pit stop stuff going on as well. This was, you know, we were fighting legitimately for P2 in towards the final third of this Grand Prix there. But Hamilton, you know, he just closed up so much to myself there. You know, it would take, what, 2 laps, and he took about 3 seconds out of myself here. So this was going to be absolutely critical, and there was no point in fighting it. There was no way I was going to be able to hold on for 9 laps. We may as well try and play our own race there. Let Hamilton through in towards turn 1 there, and we're not going to try and fight him, as we have got Max Verstappen a good few seconds back down the road there. He's having a bit of a ding-dong with Carlos Sainz. We'll have to monitor that gap just behind me as well over these next few laps here. It's going to be interesting to see how we fare relative to the Red Bull of Verstappen here. Lap 24, the gap is about 2.5 seconds here. 1 lap later, and we're just, you know, every single lap we're just focusing on this delta. We're asking the team what the gap's looking like now. 1 lap later, and you can see the gap is now down to about 1.5 seconds here, so he's taking a consistent half a second a lap out of me towards the end of this race. On to lap 27 we go now. Just 3 laps left of this race, and the gap now is below 1 second, and this was absolutely critical for myself here. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Heading in towards the final 5-6 laps of this race, I really was quite happy just to let Verstappen go, but with 3 laps to go, there is no way I'm going to try and give up on a potential podium in our very first race for Haas F1 team here. You know, this was absolutely critical. This could be a turning point in my Formula 1 career here. And yeah, like I said, we didn't want to give this up. As well as, obviously, we've got to take into account, you know, those medium tyres will be going off much quicker than our softs. You know, we've done pretty much twice the distance of the medium still, but, you know, they were really still working quite well. I'll be honest, through most of this stint, in all honesty, especially with the fuel dropping as well, you know, it was looking really strong here for myself as well. Verstappen just doesn't seem to be able to get close enough right when he needs to either, and this is really helping me out as well, as we now come on to the final lap of this Grand Prix here. We have got just 1 more lap to try and hold on from Max Verstappen there. Hamilton 10 seconds up the road, but what are we going to be able to do? Through turn 1 and turn 2, we're just focusing on hitting our apexes, getting drive off the corners, getting the good traction, everything like that in towards this final lap of the race. And is Verstappen going to be able to line up any sort of overtake? You know, we've seen Haas and, more Rich Energy specifically, doing all these better than Red Bull campaigns before moving into the 2019 season. Perhaps we could just prove them right in the opening World Championship race here. Half a lap to go of this Grand Prix here, and while Verstappen is still piling on the pressure, we know what Maxi Boy is like. He'll go for any sort of move, and psychologically we cannot let him try and get away with that in our very first Formula 1 race as well here. We're going to try and play it defensive in towards the fast chicane. Is he going to be able to go for any sort of move there? He's going to look round the outside. We trim the corner ever so slightly. Don't get a particularly good run on the exit though, and this is once again Verstappen. Look at the run that he's going to be able to get in towards the final couple of corners of this Grand Prix. We're side by side. Verstappen tries to swing it around the outside. He gets good drive, a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact between the pair of us there, but we swing it up the inside in through the third last corner there, and for a moment that was going to be some very heart-in-mouth stuff there. Verstappen almost pulled it off right around the outside there, but through the final corner and down towards the finish line, it is going to be a podium in our debut race, and Haas' first ever F1 podium as well. What a fantastic job. So happy with that one at the end of the day.
Here's our winner, pulling their Ferrari into Parc Fermé. What a fantastic race it was. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again. And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. With that brilliant result, Sebastian Vettel secures top spot in the Drivers' Championship. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari take the lead at the top of the table. Well, that was certainly an incredible weekend of racing. Be sure to join myself and Ant for more exciting Formula One action soon.
What a race that was in the end there. Like they said, Sebastian Vettel comes out on top ahead of Hamilton there. The strategy masterclass by Ferrari, one of the only drivers, him and Carlos Sainz, the only two drivers to make the one-stop work, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Hamilton picks up the fastest lap point as well. There were two Brits on the podium for the first time in I don't know how many years, in all honesty. It must be probably, what, 2013, 2012? It might have been the last race of 2012, in all honesty there. Verstappen, he did so well, but just not quite enough in the end there. Ahead of Leclerc, Gasly. Weber hold on to P7 after the strong start, unfortunately tailed off a little bit in the race there. Ahead of Bottas, Sainz and Perez rounds out the top 10. Then Norris, Ricciardo, Butler, Giovinazzi, Hubert, Kvyat, Albon, Russell, Raikkonen and Grosjean at the end of the day there. And as you can see in the Constructors, we're all the way up in P4 there. Twice the points of Racing Point just behind us as well there. But yeah, there we are then, guys. That is the end of the very first round of the F1 2019 career mode. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. Get yourself subscribed if you're new around here. I don't think we could have asked for much of a better race than that. But I'm going to leave you guys with the highlights reel, the new feature to F1 2019. Like I said, thank you all so much for watching. Get yourself subscribed. You do not want to miss it. Hopefully Bahrain will be going out later on today. But yeah, that'll do us for now.